Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back, season 8, Faith in Others, episode 8, Walking with Others Through Their Valley. In our last episode, y'all, we dove into a topic that every single one of us has faced at some point in our lives when faith in others gets tested. We talked about how to keep hope alive when others disappoint us, how to guard our hearts without becoming hardened, and most importantly, how to let go and let God. Because while people may fail us, God never will. That was a strong, powerful, amazing episode, if I may say myself.
Oh, yes.
I want everybody that's watching this right now to go back and watch it after this one. 100%. It is going to change how you view when others fail you, when others disappoint you, when you cannot trust people. If you've ever felt any of those things, that is going to help you feel and know that God is good and that God is greater and that your trust in him is first and foremost above all. Okay, so highly recommend you guys check that episode out. But on today's episode, we're going to dive into the heart of what it means to have faith for someone else when they're struggling to believe for themselves, whether it's a friend, a spouse, or even someone in your past. We explore how to be a faithful support in someone's valley season. We'll unpack what it means to spiritually support someone in a hard season, how to use words, faith, and being present to help that person, and the power of staying faith-filled through it all. But before we get into all this amazing juiciness that we're about to get into, Antoine, how has things been?
Things are great. All right. I think, again, I sound like a broken record every time we talk about this, but I'm in a season where I'm remaining grateful. Things could be better, as always. I think there's always room for things to be better, but I'm grateful for the season that I'm in and the things God is teaching me through both this podcast and my own life experiences. So I'm happy. I'm here. I'm ready. Let's do this.
I'm ready too. Like we're in the last quarter of the year, and I'm just like thinking, this year flew and we're
It
almost at
did.
the end, and
Yeah.
just getting things together for the end of the year and thinking about, my trips and what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna be
Yeah.
traveling a bit here soon. I'm gonna be traveling, and I'm just like, just excited, to see how strong the year is gonna end, and everything that God has for us with the podcast, and
Right.
the new season that we're gonna be, coming up
Yep.
soon. So I'm just excited to see what God has, and God has been amazing. So I know that he's gonna continue to be amazing and continue to, gear us and guide us through it all.
Yeah, all right. And I love the outlook that you have in thinking about the rest of the year and being so positive because the reality is that the world we live in today, there's a lot that's going on around us. There's so much loss. People, whether you're losing your job, whether you've lost a loved one through death, whether you're going through a divorce, or you've been through a bad breakup, there's been some tough challenges. Like this year has been tough. Like when I think about this year overall, it's been because of God's grace and gratitude that I've been able to make it through and try to continue to keep my head up. But I've even had challenges this year. I wasn't expecting my daughter to come and live with me, which she did. I was prepared for it. And I'm grateful that God stepped in and allowed me to be prepared, knowing that that was a possibility that it could come. But in the same sense, it wasn't something that I knew for sure that that was going to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so I say all that to say it's those seasons that we go through, like through its loss, death, divorce, breakups, whatever it may be, that we start to doubt and we get into what I would call almost like a season of being in the valley. You
Mm-hmm.
are in this space, and this can happen whether you are a strong believer of God or not. We go through these tough times where we start to doubt. We start to doubt God. We start to doubt the things we're going through. For me, the most significant experience that I remember that ever happening for me was when I lost my job. It was one of the things that I never saw coming. I was completely blindsided by it, and it happened about 2 years ago. Heading into the holiday season, I get the dreaded call that they're letting me go, and I was completely frantic when it happened. I was grateful, but frantic because I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what next was going to look like. I had ideas, but I didn't know for sure if those things were even going to manifest into what I was expecting to be. There was a lot of fear, a lot of doubt. Everything started to crowd on me at once. And I pushed through that time with joy. I pushed through that time with surrounding myself with people who were there to support me and help to lift me up and continue to remind me of how good God was in my life. Ari was one of those people who was there as I was going through this transition and experiencing things. And so today's episode is really meant to talk about just that, to talk about if you're someone who's out there and you're going through a season and you're going through a tough time, or maybe you are someone who has a friend, a family member, a loved one, a spouse, whoever who's going through a hard time. Today's all about what things can we do to help support those people who are going through those tough times. And so I want to take a step back. One of the things that I've found for myself that has been the most difficult when it comes to supporting and lifting others up through their time, as well as when I'm going through it myself, is spiritual fatigue. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. I have my definition of what I believe it is, but I also was kind of searching around to see what other definitions out there exist. And for those that don't know what spiritual fatigue is, it's a deep soul level exhaustion from the spiritual level that leads to feelings of discouragement, leads to feelings of weariness, and an overall lack of connection to God. Think about that. You're discouraged, you're weary, and you don't feel like you have a connection to God. Has anyone ever felt like you've been in that moment? God knows I have. I
Absolutely.
know I
Yeah.
have. I've been there in several occasions. And what I found is when I'm going through the valley, the spiritual fatigue, more than anything, is the thing that really gets me down. It's the thing that makes me feel like there is no way out. It's the thing that makes me feel like I'm never going to get through this. It's the thing that keeps on pulling me back, even though there could be a bright moment. Maybe, some random person blessed me with something and I'm grateful for that. The spiritual fatigue will set in and I'll start to diminish that. Okay, yeah, but I still can't do this and I can't do this. I'm still struggling with this. I'm still struggling with this. I haven't got past this next step of things that I need to do. And to me, I'm bringing up
Mhm.
spiritual fatigue because I think as Christians, I think as anyone, when you're stepping in to support someone, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand, where am I at spiritually? You need to take that level of assessment. You need to look inward at yourself. You need to pray. You need to ask God, God, am I ready? Am I in a position to step in
Mhm.
and be that support for someone? Because sometimes, and I've done this myself, we'll step in and we'll be ready to jump in and help somebody else, knowing that we aren't even there ourselves, knowing that we're still going through things ourselves. We're struggling with stuff ourselves that God is working on. And God will use anyone. I'm not saying that that doesn't mean you're not capable. But what I am saying is that as people who are Christians, or even if you're someone who's just always there to help someone, it's important to always think about, where am I at spiritually? Am I feeling disconnected? Am I feeling discouraged by things in my life? Because as we go through this, what you will find is that your level of spirituality has a huge impact on the people that you are trying to help and serve as they're growing and as they're going through their valley. So there's three main things I'm going to talk about today as it relates to how we can help someone who is going through the valley, who's dealing with some emotional and spiritual portions of their life where they just need someone to step in and intercede on their behalf. And the three things that really help this are spiritual support. That's one thing we can provide to them, is spiritual support. The second thing is the words, the faith, and the presence that we bring to them. That's a huge one. And we'll talk about the power of words as we go through this. And then the last one is the power of staying faith filled. And the faith filled portion goes back to what I talked about around spiritual fatigue. You have to have that faith, because when
Mhm.
they're being tested, best believe, and I'm sure Ariana can even attest to this, best believe you stepping in to help someone else, the devil, the enemy sees that and he's going to do everything he can to take you down. Because someone that is faith filled and on fire, what they say is, when two or more is in the mix, when two or more come
Yep.
together, I'm in the midst. When he sees that, he knows that there's something that's coming that's going to give a turnaround. And he's going to do everything he can to stop this. So first, let's start with the power of spiritual support. So I want to debunk a myth. I think for some of us, when we are trying to support someone, we think, and I'm always in this category, I think that it's my job to come in and solve that problem for them. Oh, you have an issue? Oh, let me tell you how. Let me tell you how you need to fix it. And the truth is that we aren't there to solve the problem for them. And we've talked about this in the past in our episodes. God has people on their journey for them. Like whatever path he has them going on, is not always going to be the exact same path you've been down. The experiences you've been through in life were experiences for you. Yes, those experiences you go through can help other people, but those experiences not exactly the same. That's the same formula that someone else has to do to get through what they're going through. What you may have been trying to get to on the other side may have been very unique and specific to the one situation you're in. When I lost my job, what I was going through in terms of despair, lack of trust, spiritual fatigue, feeling like I don't know if I'm going to even figure out that next step. God, I don't even know if I'm going to have enough to pay my rent, is a very different situation from someone else who may be going through divorce. Yes, both of them involve despair. Both of them involve having faith and trust in God. But how you go about doing that and what you need to do about going about doing that to increase the faith and trust that you have in God and things He's doing is different,
Mhm.
because we're at different places. We experience things differently. We as humans are just completely different people. And so I say that because I think that's the first thing when it comes to providing spiritual support. Spiritual support doesn't mean I'm coming in and I'm solving this on your behalf. What
Yeah.
spiritual support means is it means that I'm coming in and I'm stepping in. I'm doing what God has called me to do. I'm here to literally be a support for you, whether that support be in the form of just listening, whether that support be through prayer, whether that support be whatever. I mean, you fill in the blank. It's support. And spiritual support and how we do this, and what I think is the first part, is all about us understanding where is the part in which we need to intercede on their behalf. Where is that? And that can start by just asking the person. And that's how I usually start. If I'm coming in, I'm support somebody, I want to ask, hey, how can I support you? What is it that you need right now? And they may not know, and that's okay. They may not know. They may say, you know what, I don't even know right now. I'm just struggling. I just lost my job, or I just found out that my spouse has lost their job, and now we're going from a two income household to a one income household. I don't know what to do. That's fine. This is an opportunity for you then to start to intercede and start
Mm.
to pray. Hey,
Yeah.
God, my friend's really going through some tough times right now, and I want to be able to step in and help them. Please guide and show me what things that they need in this moment that I can help them with, and allow God to guide you. Because the thing is that we know is that God's all knowing. God already knows. He's already seen the end. He already knows what's on the other side of things. He can see further than we can see in any situation. So he knows what they need. And instead of us coming in, which is why we don't need to come in and try to fix things, instead of us coming in projecting our worldly views of what needs to happen, what we really need to be doing is we need to be taking a step back. Ask them, hey, how can I support you? God, what is it that I need to do to help support them? And they call this, the term that they use for this is they call it standing in the gap. And what standing in the gap basically means, that it's a term in which we are in between that person and God. And when I say in between, it means not that we're stepping in and preventing God from having communication to them. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we're stepping in as another resource. We're stepping in as another opportunity for God to speak through and to help that person. Almost think about it as we're locking hands with that person and with God, and together the three of us are working towards whatever we can to help support that person. I'm going to stop
Mm.
there. Ari, is any of this making sense? Is any of it resonating with you, or
No,
maybe
yeah, no,
something
I
you think
love
through?
the power of spiritual support. I mean, I think that having someone when you're feeling way down and weary and you're just feeling like I don't believe in myself, and you're just spiritually drained with yourself, when you have somebody come in and be a spiritual support and
Yeah.
having them stand in the gap for you, like having them pray for you, having them be a source of light, you know what I mean, whether it's in many things, you know what I mean. For me, when someone prays for me, like my mom is a spiritual warrior,
Mm.
and when I go to my mom when I'm feeling at my lowest, right, and I'm just feeling like having that spiritual fatigue for myself, and I just it's like I'm having really a hard time like believing, and I'm having a really hard time in seeing the bigger picture, or even if in my health, like if I'm like, mom, like I'm like I'm not really feeling good, like something just feels off with me, like with my health, having someone there when you're feeling at your lowest to come in and intercede for you and pray for you and give you spiritual support is, to me, has been almost like life altering, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I feel that energy, right? When someone is a spiritual warrior, a prayer warrior, and they are going in on your behalf with to God, right? They're putting you in prayer, and they're like, this is what, this person is going through, and and they start rebuking stuff in the name of Jesus for you. You feel that energy coming back to you, and you
Mhm.
start feeling yourself having that hope again, or feeling more spiritually alive again. And that's what happens when you have a person or people that can come and pray over you and pray for you when you cannot do it for yourself, when you're feeling at your lowest, when you're feeling worn out. So I can totally relate to that, because in my life, I'm grateful to have people that have kept me in prayer, and that I have, like, literally the next day I wake up feeling better. And some people may be watching this like, that sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean? I've had people pray for me, and I don't receive nothing. I don't get nothing. I
Mhm.
don't feel what you're saying. And it's like, but it's real and it's possible. If you have not experienced that, it doesn't mean that it is not possible. You know what I mean? Just maybe get you somebody else to pray for you. But when you have somebody that's really in that calling of God, and that person goes in and prays for you, or a group of people, you will feel that power come
Mhm.
to you, right? You will start feeling better. Your perspective starts shifting, like things start happening, because the power of God is immense, especially when more than two people are gathered in the name of Jesus, right? Things
Right.
move and shake. So that part right there, like, I know, you still have more to go, but everything that you've just said thus far, like, does resonate, and is very powerful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I loved your analogy, or not even analogy, like your reference to your mom as being a prayer warrior, because I have one of those too. My mom is the same. She's a prayer warrior. And one of the things her church does is they actually have something that they call intercessory prayer. And they meet together once a week where all the folks in her church come together, and they have a board where they put people's names on to pray for. They don't know what's going in those people's lives. They're not asking details. They're just saying,
Mm-hmm.
who is it that needs prayer? And you can put anyone on that board, anyone that you want. Like, I can call my mom now and say, hey, Ariana's going through some stuff right now. Can you just throw her on the board? And she'll throw you on the board and throw people's names on the board. And for a while, I didn't really understand it, because, like, growing up, I'm just like, intercessor prayer. It just seems like another reason to come together just to meet, right? But the truth is that there's so much power in those prayer warriors. Just like you said, when you've had someone who's a true prayer warrior, who has that's their they don't really have spiritual fatigue. Like, their spirituality is through the roof. They're highly connected with God. Things are just in lockstep moving, and God's working in ways and using them in major ways.
Mm-hmm.
It shakes and moves things in your life like you've never felt before. And I agree. If you haven't experienced it, it's okay. Like, there's a few things I would actually even suggest as you're thinking about having someone pray with you, and even where you're at. Again, take that assessment of where you're at as in terms of your spiritual fatigue. What I've found for myself is, when I'm going through the valley, or I'm in the valley, and I'm doubting everything that God's doing, it's hard for me to receive anything. I Like, someone could come to me and they can truly say, you know what? I've been through a similar situation like you. You're going to get through this. I know it. God brought me out of it. He'll bring it. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, because I'm in a place where I'm not ready to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I encourage anyone, if you are having someone pray over you, or if you are involved with a prayer, intercessory prayer, or someone stepping in on your behalf, that as that person's bringing their support and you're receiving it, I encourage you to open your heart to even receive whatever God's bringing to you. One of the prayers you can pray is, ask God to remove any blockages or anything that's keeping you from receiving the things he has for you. Because believe me, doubt's real. Like, when you're going through that and you're experiencing the hard times over and over and over and over again, where it feels like you take 2 steps forward and fall back five, and then you take 3 steps and fall back 10. And it feels like no matter what you do, you keep getting into the same rut. You keep coming back to the same scenario. You keep experiencing the same challenges and traumas. It's hard to believe that there's even going to be a possibility for you to get out. And this is where having that prayer group and those folks stepping in on your behalf plays a big part.